Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of Eve Echoes. Tonight on the show we're going to be announcing the giveaway winners of the community question of the week. And past week's question was, what exactly do you prefer in terms of engagement? Is it long range? Is it mid range? Is it brawling? After that, we will be moving to the main topic of this video, and we'll basically review the Armageddon, because it's next in line. You know, you cast a vote on the order of the Tech Level 9 battleships that we will be reviewing on the channel. So far, we've reviewed the Dominics, we've reviewed the Raven, the Megatron. Oh boy, those last two weren't that good. So far, so good. The Dominics holds its position, in my opinion, as the best PVE queen in Tech Level 9, in terms of Tech Level 9 battleships, but let's see what the Armageddon is capable of. But before that, please do like and subscribe if you enjoy what we're doing here, and remember, you can help me out and help keep this channel alive by joining the YouTube channel membership on this channel. There's a link below, or you can click on the join button and you can donate something as small as $2 monthly. Thank you very much for your support. So without further ado, there have been quite a lot of comments in regards to the community question of the week. Let's see what random.org has in store for us. Remember, we got 2 Mega Combo clones ready to send out to 2 lucky winners. The first winner is RL. For me, a long-range fit is the only way I can reliably play. The game is still too unsteady for me to use a brawl fit. Even at range can be a bit of a pain if I get warped off during a disconnect. I understand that pain. Coming back in, I generally need to find another warping point where I won't be on top of enemy ships. That is correct. When you get disconnected, sometimes you get warped in zero, or when you come back, you find yourself with a swarm of NPCs sitting right where you were, because while you were disconnected, well, of course they continued their course, marching straight towards you. Congratulations, RL. Let's see who our next winner is. It's none other than Thunder06. With the comment, I prefer Brawler Fit for quicker clears and for just getting in there and taking care of business. I agree, range such as a Dominic's is safer. I tend to play range kiting more because I feel forced due to issues like the brawling fail on the Megatron. Yes, indeed, that was indeed awful. I feel like the developers took a long time thinking about cruisers and some of the other classes, and then on the battleships they just said, well, let's just throw something on there and fix it later. I really wanted to do a Megatron, but this video helped me to see it's probably a waste of time right now. Anyway, great video, thanks. Well, I perfectly agree with you there in regards to the balance, or at least the vision or the design of the battleships. Most of the balance was focused indeed on Tech Level 8 or lower. Well, as you know, the basic frigates and the destroyers are still shit. Fear not, balance is about to come. We don't know how exactly balance will arrive, but it will arrive in several forms, and it will arrive end of May, probably beginning of June or end of June, somewhere around there. But until then, we will get a preview. A special public test server will be opened at mid-April or late April, and we'll be able to see and provide feedback on all the balance changes that will be introduced. So from when they launch it on the public test server until the launch on live server with all the balance patches and stuff, we have a lot of time in reporting the issues, and they have quite a lot of time in getting fixes or adjustments for the balancing issues currently plaguing this game. I remind you, there's armor stuff, there's drone issues, there's destroyers, there's quite a lot of like ship slot loadouts being all sorts of dumb. But finger crossed, and let's be optimistic, probably something good will come out of it. So congratulations Thunder06 and RL. Please leave a comment below with your in-game name and your character ID so I can pass out information down to the people responsible giving out the prizes. Thank you all for participating, of course. Lots of interesting comments. Please stick around till the end of the video because we will be launching yet another community question of the week with 2 additional Mega Combo Clone prizes for 2 randomly picked winners. Moving on to our main topic of the day, we've got the Armageddon. Now, initially I took the Armageddon and what it can do with the grain of salt. However, while I started building and toying around with it, I found some interesting things, and to my surprise, this is a good ship. I don't know if they just managed to nail this by mistake, or if it just, I don't know, surprisingly, its configuration, its stats, and the bonuses, which, by the way, are like in EVE Online. All the other Amarr ships down below in the tech level have been dumbed down, meaning the Nosferatu and the Neutralizer bonuses have been removed. The Arbitrator should have had, like, at least the advanced versions of the Arbitrator should have energy neutralizing or energy Nosferatu bonuses. They don't. These bonuses were kept on the Armageddon, and that's what it makes it an amazing ship. Plus, the slot loadout is actually top-notch. We'll get to this in a moment. So we're going to present 2 fits that I have concocted. The first one is a mid-range PVE runner. It's actually good, and it's amazing as an AFK tank, which you can use to basically run tech level 10 missions. Well, the damage is not so good as in the Sentry Drone Dominix. I'd actually advise not to use Sentry Drones on the Armageddon because it has poopier range, and we'll get to see that chart in a moment. But it's an excellent tank, it's an excellent AFK mission runner if you're into that kind of stuff. And the second fit is going to be something that it can still be revised, can still be worked on, and can definitely offer a lot of possibilities to replace stuff based on what exactly you want to achieve with that PvP fit. So let's get into the ship bonuses first, because it's here I want to underline why this ship is actually very good. In terms of damage, of course, it's going to be a lot smaller than the Dominix. It has only 4 drone tubes, and the high slots is pretty much the same, 4 high slots, but we've got 4 medium slots and 5 low slots. This is actually important because if you look at the bonuses, for Advanced Electronic Warfare bonus per level, you get plus 10% energy Nosferatu optimal range and plus 10% energy neutralizer optimal range. And of course, Battleship command bonus per level, plus 40% drone DPS, 5% drone effective hit points, and plus 6 kilometers drone control range. Now, the drone control range is shittier than the Dominix. Dominix has an increase of 10 kilometers per level. That's why a Sentry fit is viable on the Dominix, while on the Armageddon it is not. And of course, the drone effective hit points actually do point out that this ship is very good for PvP if you're into drone PvP. And pretty much the drone DPS is the same. They didn't add more drone damage, even though there's only 4 drone slots instead of 5 like on the Dominix. However, the show stealer of this ship's stats are the Nosferatu and Neutralizer optimal range, which help both in the PvP and the PvE fit. So let's head over to the PvE fit that I concocted. DPS is, I'd say, pretty low, but decent nonetheless. We've got 1000 DPS, it's got 658 in drone damage, and 386 in missiles. On the high slots, we have the rapid large missile launchers, which are good nonetheless, with a missile range of 36, almost 37 kilometers. We're going to focus a lot on the range because all this fits in nicely with what the bonuses for the optimal range for the Nosferatu comes into play. Moving on the mid slot, we've got 2 Imperial Navy large energy Nosferatu. If you look at the range, the optimal range, it's insane. We've got 34 kilometers, and that's why this ship is an excellent mid-range combat vessel. And when I say mid-range, I mean in between 20 kilometers and 50 kilometers. You can still apply damage with your drones at that range, but your juicy spot, your excellent spot you want to be in, is 30 kilometers, around 28, 29, 30 kilometers. because you'll have access to your entire arsenal, including the Nosferatu, including the missile damage, and of course drone damage. The rest of the missiles are pretty standard. If you want to run a PvE, you definitely want to slow some stuff down that just come near you. We've got the webfire and the warp scrambler. On the drone tubes, we've got 4 heavy drones, and of course there is room in the drone bay for some medium drones. Those are excellent to deal with shitty frigates or destroyers, but mostly the large drones usually can get rid of them pretty fast, of course, if you apply the web and the scram. Also, the missile arsenal also can deal with the small stuff, given the fact that they just come near you, you just blap them out of existence pretty fast. Continuing on the low slot, this is where stuff gets interesting. Well, you know, I've been talking about armor tank is shitty and shield tank is way better. Indeed it is, but I wanted to do some experiment, and I really enjoyed the Myrmidon how I can dual rep. Well, I wanted to dual rep on armor on the Armageddon, and look at that. Having a mid-range fit actually allows you to mitigate a lot of damage. There's a lot of ships that do, a lot of NPCs that just want to close range and deal damage. Of course, moving at 30 kilometers with your afterburner is amazing. You can also use a micro warp drive, but I would advise against that because micro warp drive gets shut down by those nasty frigates that just come and scram you. So afterburner, most of my battleship fits are using afterburners. Now, I believe afterburners are excellent on battleships. They provide a decent amount of speed bonus. You get to around 700 meters per second, which is good. Also, the fact that you can use afterburner and not have your speed cut down by a shitty warp scrambler allows you to mitigate some damage even further, because you are moving, you are actively working in disrupting the tracking of enemy ships. They will hit you less, you will receive less damage, and given the fact that it's mid-range, you won't be in the heat of the action. You'll be able to tank stuff pretty easily. We'll get to the stats on the reppers in a moment. We also have 2 adaptive armor harness, which provide a lot of resistances. Everything is neatly packed and good to go. Now, with 1000 DPS, you'd argue, well, I'm going to, it's going to take forever. Yeah, not that much. Remember, this is cold damage. You don't have to activate any stuff in order to maintain this damage. This is pure cold damage. You're going to deal 1000 DPS constantly. It's definitely better than the Prophecy, but the fact that you can AFK tank with dual rappers indefinitely is what amazes me. So the capacitor is stable, and if you take out the afterburner, let's unfit this afterburner, and you'll see the capacitor is more than half stable, which means you won't be needing the afterburner a lot. You'll want to mitigate some damage, but at one point you can turn it off, and with the fit that we have and the rigs that we have, you can even turn off one of the reppers at one point to basically regain and come close to a full capacitor. Let's put the afterburner back just so we don't forget about it and go pew-pewing and oh my god, where's my mobility? Let's move to the large armor repap. So the larger armor repap has close to 1800 HP repaired every 8.7 seconds. That is a lot, and you use them in tandem. You start one, and while the cycle is at half time, you start the other. So every 4 seconds, you get to repair close to 1800 HP, which is insane, is mind-boggling. And you've got the energy Nosferatus to maintain your cap constantly. Meaning there's no fear of running out of cap, there's no fear of running out of tank. You basically just lock everything up, activate your modules, and I don't know, start doing the dishes, feed the baby, do whatever you want. Just, you know, you need to make sure once the next spawn comes over, you activate your stuff again and you cycle through the targets again. Now, in regards to the rigs, we have one nanobot accelerator, which basically reduces the cycle time of the armor reppers. We've got one auxiliary nano pump, which increases the repair amount by 30%, and we've got one drone DPS. It's increasing the DPS by increasing the rate of fire, or as one might call it, reducing the time of the drones cycling their damage. So basically the drones shoot faster. On the engineering rig slots, we've got just 3 capacitor control circuits, because why not? Everything is fine, it's all milk and honey. I'll say this ship is really good with this fit, and you can tank anything you like. You won't have an issue with your damage application, your tank sustainability. Indeed, it's going to take longer to complete stuff, but hey, you're doing them AFK. You don't need to be there and to actually like manage your stuff like in brawling mode or in sentry drones. You deploy the sentries with the Dominics, and you still have to pay attention to what's going on, because the Dominics with sentries basically points towards little to no tank, just because you want a high amount of damage fast, get rid of all the targets fast, while avoiding anything that comes towards you. But stuff can come at you, and you can get scrammed, and you need to switch your drones and get rid of that so you can move away. So it requires some battlefield positioning, while this one requires nothing. You just set your default orbit to 28 or 30 kilometers. I'd recommend 28 kilometers. Put down the afterburner, activate your modules, including Nosferatu's, cycle through the targets and get rid of them in any order that you feel comfortable. And that's it. There's little to no interaction. But the tank is indeed amazing in what you can achieve with it. You can also, if you really want, you can fit it with shield tank. But with dual repping in shield tank, it's not going to be possible to form the cap stable situation. So if you're using shield tank, you might want to go with just one large shield booster, but it's not going to repair nearly enough what these 2 armor reppers do. However, if you go for the shield tank, I wouldn't recommend using that tank to solo the tech level 10 missions. You'll also probably replace the empty slot for which was the second repper with a damage mod for the drones, like a drone damage amplifier. But you'd probably want to stick to doing, I don't know, running anomalies or running dead spaces in a group, or running high-level missions like standard encounters. So that's pretty much it on this PvE fit. As you can see in the background, clearing stuff, no problem. AFK tanking, doing basically nothing, having everything turned on, and generating ISK. So I'd say this is a good ship for PvE, and not as good as the Dominics, but definitely fun to use. Moving over to a PvP variant that I managed to tinker. This ship has a lot of applications, and you can use it in various situations, be it in fleet warfare, because it's an excellent support battleship due to its bonuses, due to how it behaves and what it can do, while it's also great as a solo PvP battleship. Yeah, you got that right. Even though it's a drone boat, you can still pull off some nice content with it. And because the drones get some effective hit points, and what you can do with the energy neutralizers, you might be amazed at what it can do on the battlefield. Unfortunately, here on the test server, there's not many players that I can toy around with and experiment. But you can see for yourself, and if you find some stuff that's off track, you can definitely let me know in the comments. But I'm fairly confident that this fit is amazing. Plus, it can be adapted to any given situation. Of course, remember, you need to fit your ship based on an objective. What exactly you want to do. That should be the main focus. In order to win a battle, you start with the fitting. Winning a battle is basically 80% fitting, how you fit your ship, what it can do, know your limits, know the ship's limits, when to engage and when not to engage. On the high slots, we have the same amount of 4 rapid heavy missile launchers. As you can see, the DPS is pretty much the same, close to 1000, it's just 913. But the drones used here are not the heavy drones. If I put the heavy drones, it's going to be pretty much the same, close around 1000 DPS. The reason I have medium drones is because with medium drones you can wipe entire fleets of interceptors with this thing. Even cruisers, you can deal with several cruisers at the same time. That's why I think it makes an excellent PvP ship, be it in fleet warfare as a support battleship or in solo PvP. Now, the mid slots are a bit interesting. You can rework them, of course, considering what you want exactly to do with the ship. Currently, I just have 2 energy neutralizers, a web and a scram, and 4 medium drones. If you want to fight small stuff or smaller stuff than cruisers like destroyers or frigates, you might want to put 2 medium energy neutralizers. You can see the optimal range is 17 kilometers and the accuracy fall-off is 9.7 kilometers, meaning you can reach farther than any of the small ships that can tackle you. You can basically destroy the capacitor, leave them for dead, because their modules will turn off. When that happens, well, there's no longer micro warp drive, no more warp scrambler, no more web, no more anything, because you are unable to activate them if you have no capacitor. Sad for them, good for you. Medium drones are basically completely wreck everything that is smaller than cruisers. Even cruisers are going to be having a hard time with this DPS. You can melt those too as well. For battle cruisers and battleships, you can switch to the heavy drones and you can basically deal with those as well. Also, if you want to go after bigger ships, you might want to fit large energy neutralizers, because they have like 35 or so optimal range. You can fit 3 of these. If you go in fleet warfare, those 2 modules, which is the scram and the web, are pretty much useless, because you'll have designated, assigned people to be tackled, to catch people and to keep them in place while you do your thing. So you won't be needing these unless you go for solo PvP, in which you would need both the scram and the web, and stick to this 2 energy neutralizer configuration. While in fleet warfare, you can basically put 2 energy neutralizers and 2 energy Nosferatus. You can have 2 targets at the same time, one from which you steal the cap and one from which you destroy the cap. This thing is amazing at this specific job. Moving over to the low slots, we've got a shield tank, because, well, if you're going to be participating in fleet warfare, everything is better in shield. Because there's a shield field module, there's shield wrappers and all that. Fleet warfare basically revolves around shield until armor will receive justice. So we've got 1 resistance, 1 adaptive invulnerability field, and 1 large shield extender. And this ship is actually a buffer tank. We've got no active tank. Even in solo PvP, buffer tanks are good, because people expect you to run out of cap or to start repping. Well, surprise, you do not. You just have a big buffer that you rely on to take your opponent down before it takes you. And you can achieve that pretty easily with the neutralizer, because you're going to take away the juice of your enemy's capacitor, leaving them without a module activation, which includes resistances, which includes reppers. Fitting an active tank on this ship or in PvP mode while having the neutralizers is a pain in the butt. You don't want to do that. Plus, in fleet warfare, you have logistic ships, which will help you heal while you activate your buffers if you get primaried. And that's why you also have the damage control, which basically gives you a lot of resistances. When you activate it for 13 seconds, you're going to have a boost of 800% resistances, but it does offer a passive flat bonus of 8.23 across all resistances and across all HP types. As always, for mobility, we have the afterburner, which is excellent even in fleet warfare. In fleet warfare, you might want to switch to a micro warp drive, but in my opinion, afterburners are way better for battleships. And especially when you have this energy neutralizer capability, you really want to save the capacitor for a lot of something else and not eat it up with a shitty micro warp drive. That's just my opinion. And because we've got no Nosferatus, imagine in Fleet Warfare you can fit 2 neutralizers, 2 Nosferatus, maybe the large capacitor battery is of no use and you can fit 1 additional large shield extenders, further increasing your tank. In solo PvP, I would recommend you having a large capacitor battery. It provides an excellent infusion of capacitor while you maintain your enemy neutered, and you can basically still apply damage while he cannot use his modules. If the engaged ship is using turrets in terms of hybrid turrets and in terms of energy turrets like lasers and stuff, well, they're in for a surprise. As long as they don't have capacitor, they won't be able to fire either. Nasty, nasty little bugger. On the rig slots, we've got 1 damage mod, basically just getting a decent amount of DPS out of it, and 2 core defense field extenders to increase the shield HP. If you go for solo PvP, you can also opt in for armor buffer tank. Is also good. You've got you can fit a 1600mm plate. You still keep the damage control, and you fit an adaptive nano plating. And the rig slots, instead of the extenders, just basically switch to trimarks, which increase your armor buffer. On the engineering slots, this is interesting. We went with target and system subcontroller. And what is that? Because you want to target stuff fast. You're a support battleship when you do Fleet Warfare. You want to target stuff fast to get rid of them fast, and you apply your drone DPS to get rid of frigates, to get rid of destroyers, to get rid of bubblers, of interceptors, anything you want. You just point the drones at them and they just go pop. Also works good in solo PvP. Because you're a battleship. If you engage in combat with smaller stuff, like a gang of 2 frigates or a gang of 2 cruisers, you want to be able to target them in a useful amount of time, so you can start applying the damage, so you don't lose too much time just targeting. Oh my god, takes forever. All in all, I think this PvP fitting is great. Of course, you can improve it. You can also leave comments below with your suggestions. But in my opinion, this should be the base or the core fit with which you can toy around to adapt in terms of what exactly you want to pick a fight with. So that's pretty much on the Armageddon. I'm really happy with this ship and what it can do. Really happy that I found a viable solo PvP fit for it. And of course the AFK tank, permanent AFK tank in PvE is ridiculous. So that's it for today. Of course, we've reached our point in the video in which we need to announce the next community question of the week for our upcoming giveaway. The next community question of the week is: do you solo PvP? A lot of players have been claiming solo PvP is dead. Well, I beg to differ. There's a lot of content to do as a solo player, especially PvP. I enjoy solo PvP a lot. I've been doing solo PvP a lot. You've seen in several of my past videos doing all sorts of stuff like hunting bots or basically hunting other players. That has diminished because in low sec, you know, people just run standard encounters and standard or missions or whatever. No one farms anomalies anymore unless they're in null sec. But I strongly believe solo PvP is not dead and is quite fun and entertaining to do. Of course, you need like a wallet to back you up, and you won't be an ace or an expert right from the start. You need a lot of time. You need to understand when to pick fights. You need to understand how to do it. You need to understand how to fit your ship accordingly. And of course, picking fights is very, very important. We've got a video with solo PvP. I think it'll show up here in the top right corner. There's a lot of content in solo PvP. So my question is, do you solo PvP? Simple as that. That's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. A very big shout out to my channel supporters, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.